What's up, guys? Let's give this a try. Practice run at a podcast. My name is David. I run an Instagram account and this YouTube channel called Shelvage. It's around my passion of traditional footwear and kind of casual menswear, which is like selvage denim and traditional footwear made of shell Cordovan. Shell Cordovan is, without a doubt, my favorite leather. I'm going to kind of keep it pretty simple. What it is that I'm going to talk about, pretty basic of a podcast, over the coming weeks as this kind of gets more and more formal and turns into, a series of its own. We're going to start with some industry news. I'm going to look through some of the popular blogs, some of the different forums that have those types of discussions. Then we'll get into responding to comments either on my own channel, my own videos, Instagram post. Then we'll get into a rather controversial segment, which is a weekly tip.
That's what she said.
We'll kind of wrap it up with whatever my weekly rant is or whatever I feel about ranting the night that I record this. We'll take a look at a few news articles first, and I'll just kind of share my thoughts as we jump on over to it. Shoegazing blog here. There are a few articles that caught my eye over the last couple of days, so let's take a look at that. So first here, for those of you that are familiar with Justin Fitzpatrick or Jay Fitzpatrick footwear, he was originally based in the EU or in the United Kingdom when this brand was when it first came to fruition, as they may say. He converted to a US based company when he relocated to New York City, and now, just very recently, he has incorporated, I guess, to also have a European company. So it just kind of creates a more of like a native e-commerce experience for those in the EU. So two other things from Shoegazing blog that I thought was pretty interesting was, one, this article about the Crazy About Shoes YouTube channel. So for those of you that are kind of YouTube aficionados like myself, Ken Hishinuma, Ken, sorry about that, but he is a very well regarded, like, up and coming handmade shoemaker out of Japan, and he started this YouTube channel right along the same time that he started his shoemaking, Kish the Work, and he makes beautiful handmade shoes, and he intricately documents each and every painstaking part of the process, and it's just very beautiful videography as well as shoemaking. The last thing I want to touch on from the Shoegazing blog here is different stitches per inch on the sole. Now, people get very excited about the stitches per inch topic when they're buying a new handmade shoe or a premium shoemaker's shoe. And it's definitely something that is one of those hallmarks of a well-made, very skilled artisan at shoemaking. But overall, like, once you get to a certain tipping point of that stitches per inch, which I'll probably say is between 11 and 12, anything beyond that is really just kind of pushing the envelope, and the benefits, they'll kind of be diminishing returns. Like the amount of time that it takes to execute a 16 stitches per inch is astronomical compared to the 11 or 12 stitches per inch. This is a pair of Acme, which is, I believe, 11 to 12 stitches per inch. You can see this is very finely executed. It looks very well. It looks very elegant, very refined. If you look at this compared to the pictures that we're seeing over here on the Shoegazing blog, it's going to be very hard to pick that out, at a passing glance, much less side by side. So I think, it's definitely a cool, intricate detail that some may put a high price tag and value on, but again, it's one of those crazy nuances of the upper echelon of shoemaking that very few will ever have the opportunity to acquire in one of their own personal shoes. All right, so now let's get over to the Shoe Snob blog. Kind of revamped the blog, and I think it looks good. No negatives that I can see. So this is definitely something that has caught my eye. For those of you that are familiar with my channel, I love Ichigo Ichigo, and this is an unboxing from Justin of his a pair that Lee Trung had sent to Justin for unboxing and an initial review of his ready-to-wear collection. I have a remote bespoke pair from Lee Trung, and Lee is sending me a pair from his ready-to-wear collection, so really excited to get those here soon and share them with you. But this is a great looking pair of ready-to-wear shoes, handmade details, and I know Ashwin Welted Wear, which I'll link somewhere over here. He just unboxed and has worn a pair from iterate, which I love saying, but I love the shoes even more. Another unboxing here from Justin's blog that has caught my eye is his most recent pair of boots from Acme Shoemaker. Obviously, the pair that I just used as an example right here is from Acme Shoemaker. I absolutely love Acme Shoemaker, one of, if not my favorite shoemaker. Getting into this, I think it's a very interesting pattern. I'd love to see some of Justin's like longer term thoughts of how some of his pairs of Acme have worn. One of the biggest criticisms that people throw out there about shoes that are made by Chinese shoemakers is, it's made in China, it's going to be crap, it's going to fall apart, it's going to be this, that, whatever. Not that it couldn't be further from the truth, and kind of having those points of view just based off of like country of origin is kind of an antiquated way of thinking. With the way that like skill sharing is happening today, whether it's YouTube or just more travel, and people that are from China or any country travel to another country to learn a skill, a craft, and then they go home to practice that skill and craft and make a living. Just because they crossed a border does not now, make their artisanal work and execution any lesser than it would have been if they stayed on the other side of the border. Let's respond to a few comments. But first, let me give you my weekly tip. I'll have to come up with a new tagline for that. Now, I'm going to have to do a video on here, and let me actually do this just to kind of give you a little sneak peek behind the scenes. So for those of you that may not know, in addition to my Instagram account and this YouTube channel, so as I was saying, for those of you that don't know, I do get paid photo and videography work, mainly in the menswear accessory and social media realm. But besides all the videos that I have there, one of those videos is about brushes. These are brushes that have just been kind of shared amongst the market. You'll see them at a few local retailers up in New York, Eldween down in North Carolina, and these are shell Cordovan inlay brushes, very high quality. I've got a full kind of cobbler size brush, another one with color 8, and then a few smaller pig bristle. And I would just say that size does not matter. Whatever size brush you are comfortable using, they all work equally. And if it were up to me, I would much prefer a small one than this big clunky thing. Just my 2 cents. Found a little bit of humor in that, but it's a serious thing. I prefer a smaller shoe brush. All right, so now let's take a quick look at a few comments that I pre-selected here for us. This first one is from Peter Ringler. From a practical point of view, a man needs 10 to 15 pairs of shoes to cover for the various occasions, sneakers, Oxfords, etc., and the rotation principle of wearing the shoes. And the rotation principle of wearing the shoes. I must have lost it. Well-made, maintained leather shoes tend to last between 10 to 20 years of use. I'd say that's pretty short if you're taking care of them. Shoes can last much longer than that. I guess you pumped yourselves up into buying Frenzy last year, not because you needed them for wearing, but just for creating another video. Consequently, those shoes ended up in the surplus storage on your shoe rack. They probably cost you thousands of dollars, and sadly, you'll have to sell them for well below value. You got yourself in a shoe buying addiction, and I guess reached the end of your flagpole. The flagpole has nothing to do with the weekly tip that I just gave you, but so liquidate your excess shoes or keep them and get out of this vicious YouTube contributor cycle. Even as I enjoyed your videos, that seems to be the main reason for your frenzy. Thank you, Peter. Really appreciate the comment. As as well intended as it sounds, it's a bit misguided. So my response from 2 months ago was, it all depends what you consider to be practical, but it's probably a fair estimate. I've yet to buy a pair of shoes specifically for YouTube and would not consider that a driving factor in any of my purchases. A more practical explanation is I work from home now, and I didn't used to work from home. The amount of time that I need to wear traditional shoes or boots, any footwear of that nature, has significantly decreased. So the number of shoes that I need to have on a regular basis and can sustainably maintain has shrunken accordingly. While Peter would love to kind of like revel in the sad story that I may have of kind of getting caught in the YouTube cycle, if you've followed the channel at all, you know that none of the purchases that I've made is for an unboxing video. It's more because there was a very thoughtful and intentful reasoning for making that purchase. I've usually and almost always explained that, and even when I've gotten a pair of shoes for free, I've always explained to you like why it was that I thought it was worthwhile to get that pair of shoes given to me. Whether it's something that I was interested in, it was something that I was considering buying, and there was a strong like value proposition from me working with that shoemaker, or that shoemaker kind of working with me to get access to this platform. Never did I just continually buy to hit the surplus rack over there for purposes of kind of racking up the YouTube bank, which there still is no YouTube bank, just to kind of let you guys know. Thank you again, Peter. Greatly appreciate it. And this 2 minutes of the podcast was dedicated to you, about stretching your shoes like a professional. So this is from Clayton. I don't get that scientific. I think the leather works itself in by having your foot in it. You don't have to walk. Your foot in it in combination with your body heat will stretch the shoe. So I'll just be sitting at my computer wearing a pair that isn't quite broken, that might be a little tight for an hour or so. Just sitting at your computer wearing the pair is going to be more than sufficient to break them in. Now, what I'm talking about here in this video, but just more in general when I talk about breaking in a shoe, it's not so much kind of like just softening the leather and kind of giving the leather some, lividity when you get it out of the shoebox, but it's more so like you have to break in the flex point. So when you're breaking in a shoe, there is soft leather up top and there is firm leather on the insole and the outsole. You do not want to rush the break-in to where you're stretching the upper. You want to break in the flex point for the insole and the outsole so that you're flexing where your foot is going to be flexing. Now, when you do that, the insole will give a little bit. It'll soften. The leather will kind of, again, it won't stretch so much as it'll kind of form and mold to your foot. Now, over time, it's definitely possible that the leather will stretch, but I wouldn't bank on the leather stretching. Now, what he's saying is really just kind of getting your feet acclimated to the shoe more so than breaking it in. But ultimately, whether you're doing that or you're trying to break it in, if it's painful at any point, you should cut your losses and move on. You're not going to be able to stretch it enough to get rid of the pain. To our final segment of this initial podcast, let's go ahead and get on a weekly rant. Maybe a nightly rant, who knows. So this is a recent photo blog from, or picture special from Jesper of Shoegazing Blog. This is a double Norwegian split-toe derby, very similar to mine. One moment. Right here. So just for purposes of myself, I had mine first. Jesper, yippee! Anyway, back to the comment here that kind of set me off on this rant. The gist of this is that Jesper implied that the earlier pairs that he had from Acme, were not as clean or refined or as elevated as this most recent pair, and he's very happy with how much they've improved. So Harry's saying, who would actually want to pay for one of those earlier shoes, that was from your first review, that it clearly isn't as good as they should be, and they've much improved. So, I don't want to buy anything from their website because I'm afraid I'm going to purchase one of the shoes that isn't good. Two main lessons here, or maybe three main lessons here for Harry and for everyone. Whenever you have questions about the shoes, although you may think they're biased, which they are, the best place to get those questions answered are by the shoemaker. If you're hesitant about how old a handmade, ready-to-wear shoe is, you could always just order a made-to-order shoe, and that'll be brand new for you. And the last part is basically like those first pairs from Acme contain the same quality and integrity of the construction and the functional performance and longevity. So the improved elements like the finishing and the finesse on the overall aesthetic, just since that has improved, it doesn't reflect poorly on the older pairs. It reflects positively on the continuous improvement that Acme has committed to. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of different take on video. Obviously it's a podcast, but hopefully you enjoyed some more kind of casual lightheartedness conversation and some of my thoughts about comments that you guys have left here. Keep an eye out. I definitely want to talk more about the upcoming New York City Super Trunk Show. I'm hoping to be there and have some special announcements about like what I may do while I'm there. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for the podcast. I'll come up with a name at some point and I'll share that with everyone. If you guys like it, awesome. If not, it'll still be the name. But other than that, I appreciate you guys that have stuck around this long. If you have, leave a comment, put an emoji of your favorite color, and let me know what your thoughts are. And if you have any questions, I'll focus on those for the next podcast. Thanks.